G'day guys, and welcome to another Aussie Investing Machine live stream. Thank you so much for joining me as always on a Wednesday night. It's great to see you here. You can see we've already got a couple of comments coming through. So again, thanks so much for joining the stream. In this episode, as you would have seen in the thumbnail, I wanted to have a look a little bit at Afterpay and a little bit at Brickworks as well, which we've seen has performed extremely well over the past few days. And we'll get into the details of why that might have been. There's also been another crypto crash, possibly triggered by Elon again, and we've seen the anonymous group coming after Elon as well, potentially for meddling in the crypto markets, which is an interesting proposition. I might just jump into my portfolio quickly, and then we'll have a quick look at the comments which are coming in, and we'll go from there. So I'll just share my screen here, give that a go. So I haven't really been, I've got quite a bit of cash sitting here, I haven't really been adding to that very much. This is because of two things. One, I've been pushing a bit of money into crypto, but mainly I've also been just saving cash in the bank. And you might ask, well, what are you doing that for? Probably starting now to think about saving for a property and potentially something like an investment property. See how we go. It will take some time to save up an amount that would be worthy of a deposit, but I at least need to show the bank some regular saving habits. So instead of just dumping cash straight into the self-wealth portfolio, sort of holding it in the bank account first. See how we go. I've got some cash in here, and I haven't really seen any opportunities that I've wanted to jump on recently. If I did, if there was a crash or something of that nature, obviously would be piling it into the stock market. Couple of things to note. iShares tracking the S&P is still by far the best performer. That's positive, I guess. Not an individual stock choice, which is, I guess it's neither here nor there. Cochlear is doing really well. Purchased that a few months back, now up at a 13% overall increase. Really happy with that one. I thought they were trading at a bit of a discount and managed to pick them up at a good price. Polynovo is finally recovered. We're up by 4%. I always thought that might have been the case. Sorry, we're down by 4%, but it has recovered from where it was. And then Pushpay's had a pretty good run over the past few days, some green days, which is good, and the same with PointsBet. So Kogan's still got a long way to come back from this massive loss. I think it will eventually. So that's a quick snapshot. I don't want to go over this too much. I know we did in the last stream anyway. I do own a little bit of CommBank in another portfolio, and I think I picked up CommBank for $58 back in March of last year, and that's now I think over 100, which is probably my best purchase to date, just to let you guys know. Unbelievable, and a great dividend as well. Might just jump into a couple of the comments coming through. BC, good to see you here. How's the investing going? Yeah, been sitting on the sidelines a little bit at the moment. Have I been buying crypto dips? Yes, I did. I bought at the when there was the major crash. I bought on the bounce. So in terms of AUD, just have a look. Pull up Bitcoin. I have to actually get this in Australian dollars because I don't know what I bought it for in US dollars. See if we can pull it up. This is on the Binance exchange. We'll have a look at the one day. Yeah, so I reckon I bought in at Must have been down here. I must have bought on the way down. It was at 55 was the lowest point. So if I put in a horizontal line or ray, approximately at this point there. So got a bit keen. I thought maybe we'd seen the bottom, but didn't quite. We're now looking at all-time lows again. Well, not quite. It's sort of down here at the 40,000 mark, maybe a bit lower in that last crash. A lot less volume this time, which is interesting. But yeah, it's certainly a good time to pick things up. But what some friends who are very much into crypto have been saying is that the Bitcoin dominance is starting to flip and that Ethereum is really taking hold. So that's a good one to look for. Might be a good idea, even though yes, Bitcoin's at a big low. It is at resistance from this previous low back in January. But yeah, Ethereum might be a good, I guess, spread of risk. So I'm considering that, but I'm not really jumping in just yet. We haven't seen a lot of bullish momentum at all. We really are fading out in crypto a little bit at the moment, certainly not helped by the likes of Elon. So that is what it is. Or have I done that in the wrong? Apologies. I've done that in the wrong window. I'll just pull that over. Yep, there you go. So you can see that there. And if we look on the MACD down here, just get my microphone out of the way, you can see we have swung back to bullish momentum at this point here, but it's starting to fade again and we're almost back at the bearish cross moment. So that's a bit of a summary on crypto. Think Help, good to see you here. Thanks for joining the stream again. And your next comment, I wonder if you staked that 80 yet. No, I haven't, and you are going to be so upset at me because I did promise that I would. I have not staked my my ADA. What I would like to do is get a little bit more ADA first. I've only got around $1,500, so I don't know whether it's worth it. I'm not sure what the staking rate is, but I think for me, really, the three pillars of the crypto portfolio are going to be Bitcoin, Ethereum, and probably Cardano, also known as ADA. I'll probably top up, get that balance up around, I don't know, maybe $2,000, $2,500, and then I'll take a look at staking because I just don't think it's worth it at this point. It could be, but yeah, we'll see. When did you get into the S&P 500 ETF? That was one of the first purchases I did for this YouTube portfolio. It was back when the channel had a bit of a dividend focus because I think it pays a quarterly dividend. Just sank some money into that, not a lot of thought behind it. And it really, if you go back and look a long time ago at my video on ETFs, you'll see that the reason for buying a US based ETF was exposure to foreign markets, because I don't own any US stocks. I think that certainly it's good to have some exposure in other markets, and that was one way I could do that, and it's the best performing in my portfolio. So Think Help with the super chat, thank you so much again. I definitely feel very bad now for not staking my ADA, so 100% I definitely need to pull my socks up and get stuck into that. I do think topic for the next video, I'm thinking about maybe doing a real estate based video. I'd like to know what your thoughts are on that, or if there's any other things you'd like to see in a video. Perhaps staking cryptocurrency would be one, because not only would that be a good idea in terms of information to give to you guys, but it would also, I guess, motivate me to pull my socks up and get on with it and learn how to do it properly. So you're going to shift out of Ethereum and more Cardano and Bitcoin instead. Okay, interesting. I'd like to know your thoughts around that and why that's your focus. Mona, which bank shares are my favorite? Combank is what I own, so I'd say that's my favorite. It's probably, well, it's not probably, it is the biggest bank. They have great dividend track record, and that's why, Combank for me is probably the number one pick, but I certainly think at its current price, it's very expensive. If we have a look at their dividend record, you can see ultra consistent. A little bit of a dip in 2020 expected. 2021 there's only been one payment, and they're more than half of what 2020 brought. So I think it's been a dividend aristocrat for a while. It sort of dropped off last year, but as we enter a high interest rate environment, CommBank will prosper for sure. Macquarie is another good one as well, because they're not focused on the residential home loan market, so they're not really. If you owned CommBank and Macquarie, you get a good balance of risk within the banking sector. That's my take anyway. Of course, none of the information in this video is financial advice, so please keep that in mind. I might just have a quick chat about Brickworks. I'm not sure if you've seen, but let's have a look. What's the ticker? Brickworks up 11% today. Massive gain for a stock which is a bit of a slow grower. Certainly a dividend aristocrat, but look at this movement. It's a huge gain, and compared to their 1 year, 5 years, massive. Look at the price you could have had Brickworks at. Same story. So Brickworks, manufacturer of construction supplies, bricks, blocks, but they also have a property arm, and a lot of this massive gain over the past year, or over the past day, this 11% gain we've seen is because of a turn in the property market that they've seen. So if we have a look at the news, so record property earnings. If we have a look at this, and their EBIT guidance and EBIT announcement is just unbelievable, doing really, really well. So doubled their underlying EBIT from FY20, 129 million to 240 million. So some really solid results, but it's interesting just to read their comments. One, they think construction's picking up. Obviously, we've seen government incentives for people to renovate their home and so on and so forth, and that's helping with the flow of materials. I do mention that the lumber crisis that we're going through at the moment, the unavailability of timber is slowing down some construction projects, so that's going to drag on their revenue. But a really positive spin overall for property and construction. So be interesting to see how similar companies follow. Really got my eye on ABC, which is Adbri. They're up 1% today, but they are a direct competitor of Brickworks. However, they don't have the property arm, and you can see Adbri is not far from the low levels at the peak of the pandemic. So lots of room to move. Can go from 320 all the way up to 690 was their previous high. So that's another one just to keep an eye on that might follow in the footsteps of Brickworks, in my opinion. Just go to some comments now. What exactly is staking? How do you do it? And is there any risk? So ThinkHelp will be able to explain this better than me, but staking is essentially it's like a dividend for cryptocurrencies. I believe it's got something to do with putting your crypto on the market so it can be used as like a float for trading. So like a store has a float of cash that they need to bring in every day in order to give people back change. Exchanges need spare cryptocurrency for the gaps between when someone buys and someone sells. Transactions take time, so they need a balance in between to be able to facilitate the transactions. I believe that's what it is. I probably should come to you with a in-depth video. I might have just made myself look like a fool. Hopefully not. That's my basic understanding. Lindo, afternoon. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining the stream. I've got 500 ADA, and that's earning me about 0.4 ADA every 5 days. That's not bad. I don't know what that is in percentage terms, but yeah, it's less than 1%, but that's a daily earning, so pretty good. Super excited about a real estate based video. Investing YouTubers really do property. Yeah, so definitely could look into that. I've got a bit of a killer strategy, I think, for a real estate investment property, and I'm kind of on the fence of whether or not I should share it. But there's definitely some other stuff that I could talk about, so that's on the cards for sure. Think Help, I watched Tech Lead YouTuber, and he opened my eyes at how poorly the Ethereum team is organized. They aren't, whereas the Cardano team is actually structured. Ether's a mess and has little scope. Yeah, it's my understanding that Cardano, being a third generation cryptocurrency, it's actually more usable than Ethereum as well. But I also know that Ethereum has a large user base, and there's lots of projects which are using Ethereum as their baseline currency. So there's ups and downs for both. Just have a quick look at the news for Afterpay as well, because we've seen some interesting case that's arisen in California. So there's a proposed, come on AFR, the Australian might block me as well. Yep, how good's this? Oh, maybe I'll just have to tell you. So essentially, when I could access that Australian Financial Review article, it said that there's a couple of law firms potentially taking a class action against Afterpay in California, representing US citizens. Essentially, they're citing that there's been a spike in overdrafts in the US. As people purchase something on Afterpay, they're forced to make the 2 weekly or the payments in for which they obviously don't have the money for in the bank account. They withdraw more than they can afford. It goes into overdraft, and they're getting charged bank fees, and something about being misleading. They're taking, or they haven't yet served them with a notice, but I think they're planning to take Afterpay to court. So interesting to see how that plays out and what effect it will have. Afterpay has responded saying that they'll fight whatever comes their way, and that they're confident they're in the right. So that's just a little bit of noise on the outside. In other news, we're seeing PayPal as well really pushing their service is called Pay in 4, and they've got a lot of market share, as we know. Excuse me, a lot more retailers on board as it stands, and a lot more users. Whether or not it will catch on like Afterpay is a big question, but I think a lot of analysts are asking whether Afterpay decides to take on PayPal, in the sense that they try and scale up to PayPal's level, or whether they should consolidate, try and become more profitable, and focus on a niche market like Australia, for example. But they do have a first mover advantage. The stock price is recovering a little bit, but we can see it's way down on its previous all-time high of $158. So could be a good time to buy in now, if you've got conviction about Afterpay. Personally, I think it is a bit of a risk stock, especially with all the competitors. I don't think there's anything about the stock that you would call a really strong moat, especially the fact that their transaction fees are more than Afterpay's. It's a hard sell in my book. It is a lot better priced, but the PE ratio is still extremely high. So it's personal preference and opinion. Love to know your thoughts if you've got any on Afterpay. So Think Help, my plan is to wait for the 12-month holding anniversary, then swap over. Is that for Cardano? Let me know. BC, please share. Yep, I will go through a few of those real estate related things in that video. I have to make a bit of a plan which one I do first, real estate or cryptocurrency staking. I'll have a think about that. Market has taken the legal staff Afterpay as positive. It's had its most bullish stage recently. Yep, it sure has. I don't know why you take that positively. Maybe the fact that it's not actually an officially lodged class action could just be a bit of noise. Who knows? Heiser says, did a great post just before you came on. Check out international shipping. It's going crazy expensive, and that can only be bad news for us. True. I wonder if that's, individual package posting or containers, or I wonder if you could shed a bit more light on that. Think Help, that'd be great. But it would be case in point for the case of inflation. So at minimal, the Oz market just doesn't care. If you want to elaborate on that a little bit more, that'd be great. Afterpay and Zip, no thank you. Yeah, look, that's sort of the boat that I'm in, I guess. Happy to sit back and watch the show, but prefer, especially at the moment with the performance we're seeing in your traditional value stocks, I think the moment might have passed, but not for all of them. As I said, we looked at ABC before, Adbri, massive opportunity there, really hasn't picked up. And that's what I saw in CommBank. We saw a lot of stocks back in March of 2020 absolutely taking off, going on a tear as everything started to recover. And I thought, I was a bit, I felt like I'd been left out, but I noticed CommBank was just sort of grumbling around, hadn't taken off, and took advantage of that. So we're seeing first movers, especially, in these bricks and mortar stores, like we saw with Brickworks. We'll bring that up again. This massive jump seen from profits in property, essentially, and a pickup in construction. But as we said, ABC is yet to make a move. So it's been pretty stagnant. James Hardie, which I've held again for a long time in another portfolio, has just been consistent. Again, we haven't really seen a pop, but James Hardie's done extremely well. I guess you'd call that a pop. At the moment, it's probably gone for them. Trying to think of any other raw materials, but we also know another stock I've got in a different portfolio is Woodside Petroleum, which hasn't recovered whatsoever. A couple of sort of pumps here, but it's really fallen off a cliff. But I'm hoping that Woodside will begin to pick up, and that's because if we look at the crude oil commodity price, you can see this beautiful, constantly rising figure. And I'm sure you'll notice that petrol at the pump is getting more and more expensive, and that can only mean good things for companies like Woodside Petroleum, Beach Petroleum, so on and so forth. So that's one thing to look out for. We've seen iron ore, lots of noise with that as well, and it's come off its peak, but again, demand's still there. So we know China's trying to influence that, but it will have a hard time, I feel, driving that price down. So think help, in containers, that was with regard to the shipping. Jamie, for F's sake, just stake ADA. It's a 5-minute job and do something more interesting like a vid on your property idea. 100%. That is some sound advice, think help, and I think I will take that. Thanks for the comment as always. Look guys, if you've got any more questions or things you'd like to chat about, let me know. Otherwise, I think I might begin to wrap the video up. For those of you who have just jumped on, I think coming up in the video queue is a real estate video and then a cryptocurrency staking video. So there's some things for me to work on over the weekend. I hope you guys will enjoy some content like that. It's a little bit different to, I guess, what some other investing YouTubers are doing at the moment. So hopefully that will work out. But I think that's all from me for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. And definitely we'll get a video out for you over the weekend. So thanks again for all the support. If you're new around here watching for the first time, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave the video a like and a comment if you can as well. Even after the live stream's done, happy to get back to all of your comments. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Thanks, BC. And think help, just with a like comment, look into ESG. It's going to be big. Is that a coin? I think you've said it's not a stock, by the way. All right, might have to add that one to the list as well. So a couple of things for me to look at. But thanks so much, guys. Hope you have a great rest of the week. And I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.